What is up, my movie maniacs out there? Welcome back to another absolutely insane episode of Mike and Juju's Movie Corner. I'm your boy and your host, Mike.
And I'm Juju. And today, we're going stone cold. Literally, we're talking about the 1991 action disaster, Stone Cold.
Yep, and that voice was somehow both better and worse than anything in the actual movie.
Thank you. Today, we're diving into the Brian Bosworth vehicle that tried to make the Boss into the next big action star and failed spectacularly.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Brian Bosworth was an NFL linebacker who had a very brief, very blonde, very controversial football career before Hollywood came a-calling.
And by Hollywood came calling, we mean someone threw money at him to star in what might be the most 90s action movie ever made.
Yeah, we're talking motorcycles. We're talking explosions, mullets, and dialogue so wooden you could build furniture out of it.
Plus a plot that makes zero sense and action sequences that defy physics, logic, and good taste.
Yeah, definitely. And for our new listeners, here's the deal. Spoiler-free overview comes first. Then we're going to break down this beautiful disaster, share some of the behind-the-scenes chaos, and we're going to drop some knowledge with our trivia segment. Oh, and give our brutal, honest takes.
And we'll end with our Mike and Judy's verdict, through I think we all know where this is heading.
Alright, so strap on your leather jacket and let's ride into the sunset of Brian Bosworth's acting career. And if you've never experienced a pure testosterone-fueled madness that is stone cold, here is what you need to know.
Brian Bosworth plays Joe Huff, an Alabama cop who goes undercover to infiltrate a bike gang called the Brotherhood, who are planning to assassinate politicians.
Yeah, it's basically Point Break, which we've covered, but we're talking motorcycles instead of surfboards, and significantly less charisma from the lead actor.
The Brotherhood is led by Chase Cooper, played by Lance Henriksen, who brings actual acting talent to this B-movie mayhem.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, and Bosworth's character has to convince this biker gang that he's this real outlaw, despite having the acting range of a wooden plank. I mean, let's be honest. And the street credibility of a suburban mall cop.
There's a love interest, some FBI intrigue, and approximately 17 different scenes of motorcycles jumping over things for no apparent reason.
Right? And the whole movie is wall-to-wall action sequences, guys. We're talking car chases. We're talking bike chases, shootouts, explosions, and stunts that look like they were choreographed by someone who learned physics from cartoon characters.
It's the kind of movie where the hero survives a massive explosion by diving behind the couch, and everyone just accepts that as completely reasonable.
Right, like the dialogue is special. Like, we're talking one-liners that sound like they were written by a 12-year-old who just discovered what action movies are.
But here's the thing. It's so committed to being ridiculous that it almost becomes endearing. Almost.
And if you enjoy early 90s action cheese movies, questionable stunt work, and you want to see an NFL player try to convince people that he's a tough guy on screen, like, this is your perfect movie.
Just don't expect Oscar-worthy performances or a plot that makes sense when you really think about it.
Like, yeah, definitely. It is B-movie gold. Like, the kind of film that's perfect for that late night viewing with friends who enjoy laughing at movies rather than watching them. Hey, it is that time, Juju. It is spoiler territory, y'all. Though, honestly, spoiling Stone Cold is like spoiling a car wash, guys. You know it's going to be a disaster, but the details are still surprising.
Fair warning. This plot makes about as much sense as a screen door on a submarine.
So, the movie opens with Joe Huff. He's our hero. In the middle of some unrelated police operation that establishes he's a loose cannon cop, of course, who does not play by the rules.
Because every action hero in 1991 was legally required to be a rogue cop who gets results but drives his superiors crazy.
Definitely. And after this opening sequence that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, Joe gets recruited by the FBI to go undercover with the Brotherhood biker gang.
The FBI's plan is basically, hey, you're big and blown like a biker, so just pretend to be one. That's it. That's the entire strategy?
And Joe, he's got to prove himself to the gang by committing increasingly violent crimes, like easy things that go spectacularly wrong. Somehow the gang accepts him, and we get to meet all these villains. We've got Chance Cooper, played by Lance Henriksen, and Ice, played by William Forsythe.
Both of these actors are actually good, which makes Bosworth's wooden performance even more obvious by comparison.
Definitely. There's a charisma about the main bad guy in this. And, hey, the Brotherhood's evil plan involves assassinating a district attorney and some FBI agents during a biker rally. Because apparently, they're both outlaws and political terrorists.
The motivation for this plot is explained in about 30 seconds of dialogue and makes absolutely no sense but whatsoever.
You're right. And there's also Nancy, though, played by Arabella Halsbog, who's Chane's girlfriend. But immediately sees Big Joe and starts flirting. Plot reasons.
Their romance develops over approximately 3 scenes and involves zero chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely. And while this is going on, Joe is trying to maintain his cover while gathering together all this evidence, which mostly involves him looking stern and saying some tough guy lines really shitty.
The middle act is basically just bikers doing biker things. Drinking, fighting, riding motorcycles through windows for some reason.
Destruction. And eventually Joe's cover gets blown, of course, because he's terrible at being undercover. And this leads to this climatic showdown.
The final act is just pure chaos. Explosions, gunfires, motorcycles crashing through things, and Bosworth delivering one-liners with the emotional range of a sedated rhinoceros.
Alright, the movie ends with Joe saving the day, of course, and presumably continuing his career as the world's most unconvincing action hero.
And somehow, everyone involved in making this movie thought they were creating the next Die Hard. The confidence is almost admirable.
Alright, y'all, let's dive into the behind-the-scenes madness of Stone Cold. Because the making of the movie is almost as entertaining as this movie itself.
This film was Brian Bosworth's attempt to transition from stardom to Hollywood action hero, which was ambitious.
Definitely. Bosworth had been forced to retire from football due to an injury after just 2 seasons. So acting seemed kind of like the next step, right? Spoiler alert, it was not.
The movie was directed by Craig R. Baxley, who had previously worked as a stunt coordinator, which explains why the stunts are the best part of the film.
Definitely. And Baxley's background in stunts really shows in this movie. The action sequences are impressive, even if everything else in the movie falls to shit.
The screenplay was written by Walter Doniger, who apparently watched every action movie of the 80s and decided to combine all the cliches into one script.
Right? As Henriksen said in interviews that he took the role because he needed a paycheck, which is refreshingly honest. Let's be honest about it.
But Henriksen also brings genuine menace to the role.
Yes.
He's legitimately scary, even when the dialogue is ridiculous.
And don't forget about William Forsythe, who plays Ice. Like, He was actually a respected character actor who somehow ended up in this B-movie mayhem.
Both Hendricks and the Forsyths seem to understand they're in a cheesy action flick and play their roles accordingly.
Right. And you got Brian Bosworth. He seemingly thinks he's in some serious crime drama, and it just has this weird disconnect thing going on.
The movie was shot on a low budget of around $17 million, which was decent for an action film at that time.
Yeah, most of that budget clearly went to stunt work and explosion, because it definitely did not go to acting lessons.
The film was shot primarily in Arkansas and Mississippi, giving it this authentic Southern biker culture backdrop.
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Alright, the real biker extras, though, they use in crowd scenes actually add to the authenticity. Like, even if this main story is completely ridiculous, you got that.
Bosworth did most of his own motorcycle riding, which is impressive considering he never been on a bike before filming.
Yeah, and the stunt team had to teach him how to ride during pre-production, and apparently he took it really naturally.
The courthouse explosion sequence required special permits and took weeks to coordinate with local authorities.
Yeah, and like it shows, like it's impressive practical effects for the time.
Film's marketing heavily emphasized Bosworth's football career, basically selling it as watch this NFL star kick ass.
Right. To be honest, smart marketing, even if it set expectations that the movie couldn't possibly meet, it was smart marketing.
Stone Cold was released in May 1991 and bombed at the box office, effectively ending Bosworth's brief acting career.
Yeah, I mean, it made about $9 million domestic against a $17 million budget. So, pretty much the definition of a flop. It's time for some Stone Cold trivia facts that'll make you the expert at any biker party.
Expert on Stone Cold is definitely going on my resume under special skills.
Alright, Brian Bosworth's iconic flat top haircut. Now, that was actually a wig throughout most of the filming because his real hair was too short.
So, even his hair wasn't authentic. The layers of artifice in this movie are incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And Lance Henriksen improvised most of his dialogue because he thought the original script was too basic. Like, his version definitely improved the movie.
Henriksen bringing method acting to a Brian Bosworth vehicle is like bringing a symphony orchestra to a garage band rehearsal.
You always hate. Alright, y'all, the courthouse explosion was filmed in one take. Like, no pressure or nothing. Don't fuck this one up.
That's actually pretty impressive. You get one shot to capture a massive explosion, and they nailed it.
They did nail it. William Forsyth's character, Ice, died.
Forsyth is genuinely entertaining as a psychotic biker.
Definitely.
He understood the assignment.
Yeah, the movie's original title isn't Stone Cold either. It was The Perfect Weapon. But they changed it to Stone Cold to sound more badass.
Stone Cold definitely sounds cooler if it doesn't really relate to anything specific in the movie.
Right? Ellsworth had to train with real bikers and prep for this role, like spending weeks learning bike culture and terminology.
The research shows in some scenes, but unfortunately, acting isn't just about knowing the lingo.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this film's motorcycle stunts, though, were coordinated by some of Hollywood's top stunt riders. I mean, we're talking several who worked on Terminator 2.
Bike work is legitimately professional level, even if everything else is amateur hour.
That's right. And Miss Arabella Hallsbog, who plays Nancy, was actually a German model, making her acting debut in this one, which explains that whole awkward dialogue delivery.
So, we had a football player and a model trying to act opposite seasoned character actors.
You're right.
What could go wrong?
Oh, nothing. Maybe they would steal the film. Alright, y'all. The film's budget was partially funded by HBO, which had a deal for original action movies back then in the early 90s.
HBO was really throwing money at anything back then. Different time.
So if you look at how Netflix and other platforms are now, and some of the movies they put out, it's not a whole lot different. Like Art Baxley, now he went on to direct several TV movies and episodes, and he found a lot more success in TV than these theatrical films.
His stunt coordinator background actually served him well in TV action shows.
Alright, y'all, Brian Bosworth has said in recent interviews that he's actually proud of Stone Cold. as a fun B movie. I mean, it's showing he's gained perspective over these years, guys.
That's actually really cool that he can laugh about it now. Self-awareness is admirable.
Definitely. And this film is gained a cult following, like among bad movie enthusiasts, and it is regularly featured in worst of lists, but in an endearing, affectionate way, you know?
Sometimes being memorably bad is better than being forgettably mediocre.
All right, Juju, let's talk about Stone Cold's place in the large pantheon of early 90s action cheese and B-movie history.
This movie is like a perfect time capsule of everything that was wrong and right about early 90s action cinema.
Yeah, it definitely came out during this weird period where studios were desperately trying to find that next Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone, leading to some questionable casting choices for sure.
Athletes turned actors were having a moment. You had Bosworth, Hulk Hogan in movies, even basketball players trying to break into Hollywood.
Most of these experiments, they flopped really bad, but they gave us some genuinely entertaining B movies in the process, and I love B movies.
Stone Cold fits perfectly into that tradition of so bad it's good action film will discover and love ironically.
And the movie has found a whole new life on streaming platforms and in those midnight movie screenings where audiences can really appreciate the unintentional comedy in a movie.
There's something pure about its commitment to being ridiculous. It never tries to be smarter than it is.
Definitely doesn't. And the practical effects and stunt work, like, they hold up really well. Like, compared to the new CGI heavy action films that came later, like, this is solid.
When they blow, it's really blown up. When someone crashes through a window, they really crash through a window.
Exactly. And Lance Henriksen's performance alone makes this worth watching. Like, he really does bring a legitimate style and acting ability to what could have been a real throwaway villain role.
He plays James Cooper like a Shakespearean villain who happens to ride a motorcycle and it somehow works.
Yeah, like, the film also does a good job of capturing the specific moment in American culture, like when biker gangs were seen as mysterious and dangerous outlaws.
Before reality TV and social media made everything more transparent, biker culture had its mythic quality that movies could exploit.
Right? And Stone Cold takes that mythology and cranks it up to absurd levels. Like, they create this heightened reality that is completely crazy, but internally consistent.
It's like a live action cartoon, and once you accept that, it becomes much more enjoyable.
There you go. It's a good way to explain it. Like, the movie has also influenced other filmmakers who grew up watching it, and they appreciated its commitment to practical action.
You can see it in its DNA in modern B movies, and even some big budget films that embrace similar over-the-top sensibilities.
Yeah. Time for our personal takes on Stone Cold. So, Juju, what's your honest assessment on this beautiful disaster?
I have such a soft spot for this movie. It's terrible in all the right ways, completely sincere about being ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's what I really appreciate about it, too. Like, there's no irony or self-awareness. Like, just pure commitment to being an action movie.
Brian Bosworth may not be a good actor, but he's completely committed to the role.
Yep.
He never phones it in or seems embarrassed about it.
No, and there's a supporting cast that really elevates this material. Like Henriksen and Force bring legitimate menace to their roles. Like, they are real.
The action sequences are genuinely well crafted. Craig R. Baxley knew how to stage exciting stunts and explosions.
Yeah. And my biggest critique, if I had anything to say, is that it takes itself just a little too serious. Like, a bit more self-awareness could have pushed it into iconic bad movie territory.
But maybe that sincerity is what makes it work. If they were winking at the camera, it might feel cynical instead of charmingly naive.
Right? That's a fair point. And Hey, there's something refreshing about a movie that just wants to entertain without being clever about it.
The dialogue is hilariously bad, but it's delivered with such conviction that you almost buy into it.
Yeah, and it's definitely a movie that benefits from watching friends, you know? Like, communal experience of laughing at it really does make it more enjoyable.
Perfect midnight movie material. It has all the elements, ridiculous plot, over-the-top action, quotable bad dialogue.
Our Mike and Juju scale, I'm actually leaning towards a 6.5 out of 10 motorcycles. Like, it's a perfect example of a B movie craftsmanship, full script, decent production values, and committed performances. But it earns its place in the Bad Movie Hall of Fame.
Through sheer audacity and surprisingly good stunt work. Plus, Lance Henriksen is generally great in it. Sometimes one excellent performance can redeem an entire movie.
Yeah, so what is your rating out of 10 motorcycles?
A 7.
All right, 7 out of 10 motorcycles, y'all. Y'all heard it right here. And for anyone who enjoys MST 3K style movie watching or has some kind of nostalgic for early 90s action cheese, Stone Cold really delivers exactly what it promises, y'all.
Just don't expect Point Break or Roadhouse.
No.
Expect something much weirder and more sincere than either of those films.
All right, guys, so there you have it. Stone Cold gets a 6.75 out of 10 between the two of us. You know, it's memorably bad rather than boring. All right, that's all we got. So this wraps up our Stone Cold journey through Brian Bosworth's brief but memorable Hollywood career.
From NFL linebackers to leather-clad action heroes, the American dream in its most bizarre form.
Yeah, and before we dive off into the sunset, y'all remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode.
Next week,
Cut it out. From B movie action to whatever comes next.
don't forget to check out our other shows in our playlist. Until then,
We'll be doing our best Brian Bosworth impressions, which basically means we'll be talking in monotone while looking vaguely constipated.
constipate. If you have suggestions for more bad movies we should cover, drop them in the comments. We're building quite the collection.
That's right, and as always, thank you guys for joining us on this wild ride through cinematic history.
Until next time, stay stone cold, movie freaks.
That's right. Peace.